Hi, everybody. We're back here on The Girls, and I'm happy to be in a kitchen where you will all be happy to know I will not be cooking in it. Right?
It's so unusual. Janine, I love your backgrounds because you could be anywhere at any time, but the least likely place to find you, especially to choose to be, is in a kitchen. I mean,
and look at how beautiful my flowers and my greens look.
Yeah, well, look at mine are real. I have real greens.
Show off.
Mine are herbs because I cook with fresh herbs and fresh tomatoes and all that jazz. And look, got little tomatoes. I didn't grow them because the year I grew the tomatoes, let's talk about that for a second. We had the kind you put on the porch.
With one tomato.
Yeah, so we put them on the porch. We went on vacation. Sammy Jr. watered them every day. So it was like the watering of the tomatoes, and we were gone for quite a while. We went to Italy that year. Anyhow, we came back anticipating the tomato. It must have cost us $300 between
what we one tomato.
Plants. We got one tomato. I think the animals in the woods had a blast.
I will say this. I'm good at like the prepping and putting like little dips and trays together, like the artsy things I can do. Like we talked about my veggie dips. It's so funny because my friends, every time the craft group's getting together, they'll send me like all these because we do like a theme. Oh, here's your theme with your vegetables this time. But I was at my godson's confirmation because I was his sponsor. One of my best friends, Justine, lives in Harrisburg, so I was there for the weekend, and I brought some stuff from Boyer's, of course. And my other best friend, Chrissy, she brought something to make, and it was a blueberry salsa.
Ooh, blueberry.
So basically, it's like the salsa without the tomatoes, but we threw in tomatoes because it just looked like it needed it. Cilantro, I know some people like or don't like. It was cilantro, onion.
You don't
lemon,
know the recipe?
Blueberries. Well, yes, because I'm going to make it for the craft night at my house.
Were they fresh?
Yes, fresh blueberries. And if you look it up, it's blueberry salsa, but I couldn't find the recipe on my phone, but it's half of the blueberries are whole. The other half you chop. You don't crush them. You chop them. But the cilantro and the main ingredient that I thought was such a weird mix, jalapenos.
You have the sweet, the spicy, the salty. What's missing? The savory.
I don't know.
Savory with the cilantro,
a bit of salt, but it was good. The cilantro, and then it activated with the lemon juice. Oh, so yummy. So
what did you
so dip in chips. She brought purple chips, but I think because of the red, white, and blue theme, I'm making that for when they come to my house, and you're coming because we're making items for the front porch. Like for 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
It'll be cool.
Patriotic
something or other. So anyway, that's my big recipe. And I know we're talking about food, and we're in the kitchen because we have someone on today who is a chef, right? Or is a foodie.
Yes. I came across this guy, Dante Passeri, and I came across him on Facebook. He was posting different things that he was making, and he was at school. So Dante had gone to school here in Hazleton, and he went on to study at the Culinary Institute in, I believe it's in Florida. And he recently had a trip to Europe. So I've been following him, and I asked him if he ever had a minute, could he join us? So he'll be graduating next year, but he's ready, willing, and able. He's been cooking for a long time. So stay with us and get out your best knives and get out your pen and pencil, because there may be some little tips that you could learn today, and you could call your friends, but you're going to be able to watch this over and over, because not only can you see us here on Channel 13, but you can watch us on YouTube, and that'll be archived. You can watch us over and over and over. So
Too
stay
bad
with
we
us.
can't taste over Zoom.
No,
Darn it.
I know. He's going to cook for us though at some point, Janine, when we have the celebration, because of course he's coming to a Zoom from school. So he's in Florida. But maybe we
Oh,
can
wow. Poor
Oh.
him.
let's just jump on our private jet and go down and let's have a meal.
And people will believe that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Of
Get
course.
on my bike. Jump on. Beep, beep.
All right, well, stay with us. We'll be right back.
And the girls are back with a brand new show, right? And I'm in my kitchen that matches our guest kitchen. It's like it was meant to be. Right, Mom?
Yeah, well, yours is a fake background, but our
No, it's
guest,
not.
Dante Passeri, he is an
Foodie.
aspiring professional chef. And I found you on Facebook. You're from Hazleton, and you went to school at the Hazleton Area Career Center. I know that for sure, and studied culinary arts. Then you moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I had said Florida before. I knew you were somewhere nice, but it was Myrtle Beach. And the story continues. You're at professional culinary arts school there. So welcome to the show. And we're all anxious to get started to ask you 50 million questions. I know Janine wants to ask you how you got started.
Well, yeah, so the background, because we're all inspired usually by something that leads us onto our journey. And I know when I read about you and your story, you started cooking because your mom was sick, correct?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I was always into the food. I wasn't the normal kid that would eat the chicken fingers and French fries. I just liked to eat the crazier foods, the crab meat and sushi and stuff like that. And I always liked watching people cook. I thought it was amazing. And then I liked to help where I could. And when I was 12, my mom was in a very bad car accident that ended up leaving her disabled. So then I realized that I couldn't really stand always eating fast food and microwave meals. So I took it upon myself to learn how the ingredients work and how to use our kitchen equipment. And I just started making myself meals. And then when I realized they weren't that bad, I started feeding my family them as well.
I like how you tried it on yourself first. See, I just feed the family and just see if they like it or not. Right? Mom.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're doing pretty good though, Julienne, I must admit. So after you started cooking necessity wise, and you found out that you liked the cooking, what inspired you then to continue on to study to become a chef? What was the turning point there?
I realized that as I was starting to feed my family and friends and having guests over for dinner or brunch, whatever it may be, I just realized that I was always enjoying what I was doing. I wasn't doing it because I had to, but because I wanted to. And when, at the end of 8th grade, when you're getting ready to graduate and you have to pick a new school, and me, I had 4 choices, and I was weighing out the options, and I said, instead of doing something that I have to do, why don't I do something I want to do? And I wanted to cook, and that's what got me to the Career Center.
Very mature 8th grader, by the way, for you to say that at that age.
You had a.
I mean, I was always mature, and thank you for that. I just thought, I don't need to follow where my friends are going or where my family wants me to go. It's my decision based off of what I really enjoy doing.
What now? You're in professional Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You're at the Institute of Culinary Art Institute. What is it? The Culinary Institute of Art.
No, the International Culinary Institute of Myrtle Beach.
So that's where your skills are fine-tuned even more so. So what has been something that you learned there that was like your aha moments? Like,
It's one of those things that I learned the skills at home and in high school, that the little skills and the ones that get me the basic skills. And now I'm learning the tricks to those skills. So there hasn't really been one big one, that big aha moment, but things like, instead of putting mashed potatoes through a ricer, you can put them through a strainer and just push the potatoes through the strainer, and then you have mashed potatoes instead of using a mixer or something like that. It's one of those things that I never thought of that. Like, who would think to do that? And it's little things like that that our instructors are trying to mold into our heads and our bodies to get us to make our lives easier for the industry.
That's
So-
a good one. So instead of putting the potatoes in a blender, you said you put it in a strainer and push them through.
Right.
I'm going to try that.
yeah, what do you use to push them through? Your masher?
Just your hands. You push the potato through with your hands and they go right through.
So Dante, you mentioned about how you weren't a chicken finger and French fry kind of kid, that you went more for like the more unusual foods and exotic foods. So what have you been able to experience in your training with unusual foods? Like, what have you learned?
I learned how to break down an entire squid, and I learned about the different cooking applications you can use. Yeah, people think of squid like that's disgusting, but it was actually delicious, and it was cool to see how actually simple it is to break it down. Working with clams and mussels is always fun to see the reaction of them opening up during the process of them being steamed.
Did you ever work with deer meat?
I haven't. I have friends that enjoy smoking and stuff like that, and they make jerky and things like that with deer. But I'm not at that point yet.
So with your schooling, you are in a kitchen with an instructor. And when you're not doing something correct, in other words, if you're not using the right knife or you're not doing whatever else, do you have to do it over? Or like, what is it like when you're in the classroom setting of learning how to cook? What's your day like?
So it all depends on what we're doing. So if it's an actual class and we do something wrong, I'll be showed how to do it correctly. And if I'm in the middle of doing something, I'll finish it and I'll just try my best to fix my mistakes, but nothing will get thrown away. And then, if you're using the wrong piece of equipment, the chef will come over and explain why that's the wrong piece of equipment and show you what to use and how to use it instead of. Now, if we're cooking for a service or cooking for customers or anything like that, if something is screwed up, they come over and either we throw it away or it's saved for stock scraps. And then we'll just add it into our stock that we make weekly. But when we're feeding the public and these people are paying for our food, we need to make sure it's perfect.
I love that you don't waste food. That's like one thing about cooking and saving the food. There's so much waste sometimes. And so it's good to hear that you're actually keeping as much food as possible. My question to you is, are you into making like soups, sauces, pasta, fish? Like, do you have a niche yet? Or do you have something like you really love to make?
My favorite thing to make would have to be homemade pasta. I learned during quarantine, actually the owner of Alto was doing a cooking class, and she taught me how over Facebook Live how to make pasta. And after that, it was basically every week while we were locked up, I would just be making different types of pasta. And now I have the KitchenAid attachments and different types of rolling pins and cutters. And it's crazy to see how flour and eggs become these beautiful shapes of pasta.
Delicious. And we know from when you were young, you were cooking, and you have some relatives, the Keegans, John and Alita Keegan. And there are some pictures of you in their kitchen cooking. I recognize the kitchen immediately. And there you are making all of the pasta. And it seems like every picture that you sent to me, you're smiling and you're just, you know, enjoying family and friends and cooking this pasta.
Yes, food brings people together, and I truly believe that. And that's part of the reason why I really enjoy food and being in a kitchen.
Everyone surrounds themselves, and you just gravitate to the kitchen, right? And when we come back, we have questions for my mom's Facebook followers. They have questions about cooking for you. And if you're just tuning in, we have Dante Passeri with us. He is a foodie. He's going to school to be a chef. And we'll be right back with more cooking tips here on The Girls.
Welcome back to The Girls. Today we're really cooking, and we're cooking with a professional chef. He's just going to show us a couple little tips. This Dante Passeri. Right now what you're seeing is the area of his knives, because we're zooming to him from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He is a student at the Culinary Arts Institute there, and he picked up a lot of tips when you're in France on your trip, right, Dante?
Yes, I learned probably 5-10 things every day.
Great. All right.
All right,
Well,
let's get to it. Let's see those knives.
let's see those knives, because I have these crappy knives.
Okay, so these are the culinary industry hospitality knives. They're high carbon stainless steel. So in our knife kit, we get a chef's knife rather, which is a chef's best friend, a serrated slicer, which would be used for breads, cakes, pastries, a boning knife, and that would be used for cutting fish. And the purpose of the boning knife is, I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but if you put it against the board, it's very flexible and bendy. So then that goes against the flesh of the fish and makes it very easy to cut the fish. And then we have a paring knife, which is used for fancier cuts and smaller cuts that you hold the product in your hand. And then, of course, our vegetable peeler.
And what will you be making for us? What will you be showing us today? Carrots?
Yes, so I will be demonstrating how to do a Julienne Carrot, which is basically a matchstick style cut.
It always amazes me to see this, that they're all cut in the same size. I cannot do this.
All right, let's see. I'm looking.
Janine's watching.
So you need a carrot, a whole carrot, and I have peeled and washed my carrot and cut them in about 2-inch pieces.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do as home chefs, you don't want to square the carrot off completely so you have more usable product. So you're just going to cut the back, the front of it off so it's nice and square. And then you're going to cut it about 1/8 of an inch thickness and just go right down. And then do it until you can no longer handle the carrot. What you want to do is, once you get to that point, you just want to leave that, and you can use that for snacking and stuff like that, so you aren't cutting your finger off.
Hey, I can use that in my vegetable platter.
Right. So then you have these little sheets
Slices
of carrot, so to say. And what you're going to do is you're going to take them and you're going to cut them very thin. So I'm going to square it off so they're pretty perfect. And I'm not as speedy as the professional chefs, because I am still learning new things every day. But here you have it, Julienne carrots. So those could be used for things like lo mein and things like that.
I love it. And I'm glad you went slow because we would not want you to lose a finger here on our show. We haven't lost a person or a limb since we started the show 10 anniversaries ago, right? Mama?
Well, we can go on with all of the knives, but we do have a few questions if you want to sit back down and join us back on the set. We have so many people that ask a lot of questions. I'll just have to pick a few out here from Facebook. I had posed the question, what would you want to ask a chef? And of course, the main thing is always, how do you cook a steak? Is it best to do it in the oven, in the stove, or under a broiler? So what's the tip on the steak?
So if you have a grill, ideally it is best to grill it, but you can always grill on your stovetop. That's the best way to do it. So you want to get the sear, and then depending on how you like your steak done, and depending how much heat you have, it might be best to finish it off in the oven just so the inside cooks but doesn't overcook.
Is it better to do your steak very slowly under low heat? Because I'm one of those, like, let's just jack it up to high and get it done real quick.
It's good to get the color and the nice crust on the steak.
Yeah.
So you need high heat for that.
Okay.
But you also don't want to overcook the steak.
Okay. Next question, Mama.
All right. Well, the next thing is, what's the best way to cook a lobster tail? Boil it or defrost it, take it out of the shell and put it in the oven. Which is best? Which do you think is best? Which did you learn, I should say?
We haven't cooked with lobster very much, but I use, when I cook lobster at home, they're not completely frozen, but I basically steam them. Not steam poach, but you don't want them to be rolling in the water, but you want them to be slightly simmering, and then you're going to get them poached basically, and then you can finish them in a saute pan in butter.
Now, the big thing is you were recently in France. You went on a school learning trip to France, and you got to eat in 4- and 5-star Michelin restaurants, not only sightseeing. That was not just a sightseeing tour, it was a learning tour. So what did you find in France that was like the highlight of the trip for you?
Before going to France, I had in my head that I was going to get to see the Eiffel Tower. So seeing that was pretty surreal and amazing, that I was a couple hundred feet away from the Eiffel Tower. And it was also cool while we were training at the Escoffier and Ritz Culinary School, we were seeing the way their products are compared to ours. And it was amazing to see how different their beef cuts were, and all different kinds of meat, and their carrots were huge, and everything was so fresh. It was very different from America. It was very cool to cook with these different types of ingredients and different much better source, I guess. Better source.
Where do you see your future in food, and what are your aspirations? Are you going to open your own restaurant? Do you want to open a seafood place down there in Myrtle Beach? What are we doing?
After college, I'd like to just start working anywhere in the industry, because I'd like to work in all aspects, just so I can grasp every little piece I possibly can. And then my end goal right now is to open my own homemade pasta food truck and be the owner and operator of that. So we'll see where life takes us, but I'm looking forward to the rest of my culinary journey.
Manja.
So we have Passeri's pasta truck.
Hey.
In the near future, coming to you soon in a city near you.
That's right.
I'll be your first customer.
Sounds great.
Love pasta. All right. Well, it was so nice chatting with you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to chat with us. I'm sure that we're going to get more questions on Facebook when we show this. They're going to watch us on not only local channel 13, it will also be on SSP TV through our YouTube. It'll be archived there. You'll be able to see it everywhere. So if you have any questions for Dante, send them over to our Facebook page or wherever, and we'll get them off to you. When you're back in the area, Dante, make sure you stop in because I could have you cooking in my kitchen.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dante. We'll see you next time on The Girls.